Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really pulling back the curtain on the startup world. We're looking at the gritty experiences of two entrepreneurs.
Yeah, some real stories from the trenches, so to speak.
Exactly. We've got Sarah Morgan. Her journey goes from a successful fashion business through some major external shocks to a lighting tech venture.
And then the other story comes from this article, Startup War Stories, an anonymous founder, but sharing some incredibly raw, make-or-break moments from their own journey.
Right. And our mission here is, well, it's pretty simple. Extract those crucial lessons. How do you navigate the really tough times?
Whether you're launching your own thing, maybe facing a career shift, or honestly just dealing with life's, curveballs.
It's about resilience, really.
Yeah.
Finding that practical knowledge in these personal stories.
Forget the glossy success narratives for a minute. We're digging into the turning points, the crises, the pivots.
And that inner strength that lets people not just survive, but actually come out stronger.
Yeah, how that resilience gets forged in the fire.
So let's start with Sarah Morgan. Her first company, Anna Maria Ltd., fashion accessories. It was doing pretty well, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. Sold to Target, QVC, major retailers. She was established.
But then, 2008, the recession hits.
Uh-huh. And it hit Anna Maria hard. Really hard and fast.
What happened exactly?
Well, basically, the department stores just slammed the brakes, stopped ordering new collections altogether.
Wow. So sales just evaporated.
Pretty much dried up. It led to this slow, kind of painful wind down of the business between 2010 and 2012.
She called it a punch to the gut.
Yeah, you can imagine. It just shows how vulnerable even a successful business can be to those, big economic shifts.
And just as she's dealing with that fallout, a few years later, 2012, Hurricane Sandy.
Talk about a 1-2 punch. It was devastating. Over 100 houses burned in her area, floodwaters, car roofs submerged.
And Sarah herself.
Lost her home. She was literally couch surfing for a month.
That's incredible.
She said that was the final straw. It pushed her to actually return to the UK with a new business idea, but almost no money.
How do you even start again after that kind of compounded trauma?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. About 6 months before the hurricane, she'd started practicing transcendental meditation.
Oh, okay. Why then?
She got a scholarship. And she realized, she needed to change her internal perspective before tackling the external stuff.
So it wasn't about escaping.
No, more like recalibrating her internal compass. In fact, her mentor, Chris Stamp, specifically advised her to focus on personal growth right then, not career moves.
That seems counterintuitive when your business is struggling.
Maybe. But it suggests that internal shift might have been absolutely key to her ability to eventually rebuild,
Makes you think where real strength comes from. It's not just about pushing through externally.
Exactly. And another thing happened after the hurricane, the support network.
Right, the couch surfing.
Staying with friends didn't just give her shelter, it opened her up, allowed her to actually talk about everything she'd been through.
That must have been crucial.
Yeah, and apparently one friend directly influenced her decision, encouraged her to go back to the UK and chase this new idea.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? Human connection as a lifeline.
Totally. Sometimes just sharing the struggle, accepting help, that can be the catalyst you need. We probably underestimate that a lot.
So she moves forward. And this leads to Nanolit Technologies, the lighting startup.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is that lighting was actually an old passion. From her master's degree back in 2004.
So why didn't she pursue it then?
The technology just wasn't there yet, apparently. It wasn't ready.
So it's like her fashion business, even though it ended painfully, wasn't wasted time.
Not at all. It seems like it provided essential stepping stones. Her experience in fashion manufacturing.
Yeah.
Invaluable insights into production processes.
It's a great example of how skills from one area can become, well, super relevant in another unexpected way.
Absolutely. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What skills are we picking up now that might pay off later in some completely different context?
And looking at the two businesses, Nina Maria and Nanolit, you see connections.
Definitely. Both are manufacturing companies, B2B focused.
Mhm.
And both seem to aim for products with this, intuitive appeal.
Her industrial design background probably helps bridge that gap between the tech and the user experience.
For sure. Plus, think about the pace she learned in fashion, 36 new products every 6 months.
Whoa, that's intense.
That agility, that constant iteration, that's gold in today's market. It suggests this mindset of always learning, adapting, testing.
So what's driving her now? What keeps her going with Nanolit?
She mentions a really supportive partner, someone who encourages her growth, and also a new focus on health and nutrition.
Oh, yeah.
She even took up kickboxing, says it boosted her confidence, helped with setting boundaries.
Interesting link.
Yeah, she talks about how all this fosters a freedom to create, both personally and professionally. It's like this holistic foundation she's built.
That really highlights the link between personal well-being and, professional energy and creativity.
Completely. When you feel strong and supported personally, that energy just spills over, doesn't it? How much does our inner state influence our ability to innovate, to take risks?
So her big advice for others who might be facing similar, really tough challenges.
Treat every experience as valuable learning, even the negative ones.
Also,
She believes they build self-knowledge, help you make better decisions later, and give you the strength to walk away from things or people that aren't right for you.
that's a really powerful way to reframe setbacks. Not failures, but data.
Exactly. Data for growth.
Mm.
Resilience isn't about avoiding the hits, it's about extracting the wisdom from them. How do we actively cultivate that?
Okay, let's shift gears now. Let's dive into the startup war stories. This author kicks things off by saying, basically, expect a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, buckle up. Low moments are guaranteed and they will test you.
The key, they say, is being able to jump back up stronger.
Uh-huh. They even bring up Ben Horowitz's idea of wartime CEOs.
What's that about?
Needing that specific kind of leadership, maybe tougher, more focused, to get through the really chaotic A to B journey of a startup, not just peacetime cruising.
That really echoes Sarah's story too, doesn't it? That need for grit when things go sideways.
Absolutely. Both stories make it clear setbacks aren't the exception in startups. They're like part of the landscape.
Yeah.
That wartime CEO mindset seems crucial.
So the author talks about their first big stumble, a business before peopleperhour.com.
Right. A brick-and-mortar version, a service business.
And the problem was,
They were the founder, doing everything. Sales, delivery, quality assurance, the works, just wearing every single hat.
sounds exhausting.
Totally. Led to burnout, demoralization. Employees started leaving, clients too, and the strain even caused a personal breakup because of the overwork. A perfect storm, really.
It's that classic trap, isn't it? The business model relies entirely on the founder and it just can't scale.
Exactly. The personal toll is immense. It really makes you ask, when do you have to admit your first idea just isn't working?
But then from that low point comes this eureka moment.
Yeah, apparently during a trip to Cannes, the light bulb goes off.
What was the idea?
Pivot. Stop being the service provider and instead create a platform what became peopleperhour.com to connect providers with customers.
Ah, so solving the scalability problem, turning crisis into opportunity.
Classic necessity being the mother of invention, right? Facing those limits forced a fundamental rethink, led to something much bigger. You wonder what sparks those moments of clarity when you're really struggling.
Okay, so peopleperhour.com is born, but the challenges weren't over. Not by a long shot. The 2008 crisis again.
Right, just like Sarah faced. They actually had VC interest offers on the table for funding.
Good news then.
Should have been. But the market melted down literally 1 week before they were supposed to close the deal.
Oh no.
And they were left with only 3 weeks of cash. 3 weeks of runway.
That is cutting it incredibly fine. Talk about pressure.
The timing was just brutal. Shows how those big external forces can derail things, even at the very last minute. They had to scramble like crazy to find other funding.
Did they manage it?
They did. But here's the twist. They ended up raising less money, but from angel investors who had really relevant experience, like Fabrice Grinda.
Okay, so less money, but maybe better money.
Exactly. And crucially, on better terms, they kept control of the business. The author actually calls this near disaster a blessing in disguise.
Why a blessing?
They suspect the original bigger VC deal might have eventually led to them being pushed out as CEO later on. Retaining control was huge.
That's fascinating. It really challenges that idea that bigger funding is always the best outcome.
Yeah.
Sometimes less is more, strategically.
Yeah, what are the hidden costs of that rapid, huge funding sometimes? Control is a big one.
So the roller coaster continues. They get through that. Things start going well, maybe too well.
Kind of. They became a bit of a VC's darling, strong team, plenty of cash in the bank, but then suddenly investor support just evaporated.
Even with success and money.
The article doesn't detail exactly why support dried up, but it happened. And it forced this incredibly painful decision.
Which was?
Downsizing, firing half the team. The author calls it the hardest thing a founder CEO is faced to do.
I can only imagine. Letting go of people you've hired and worked with especially when things seemed okay on the surface.
It's a brutal reminder that even when things look good, startup stability can be really fragile. It forces you to confront some hard truths about your business, your spending, your leadership.
But again, like the funding crisis, did anything positive come out of this really difficult situation?
Surprisingly, yes, they did something interesting. Introduced a salary sacrifice option.
Meaning,
Remaining employees could choose to take a temporary pay cut in exchange for discounted stock options in the company.
giving them skin in the game.
Exactly. It apparently fostered this powerful sense of ownership, boosted loyalty, made the remaining team feel like they were truly in it together.
That's a remarkable way to turn a negative into a positive for the company culture.
Yeah, and it also opened up opportunities. More junior team members got the chance to step up into bigger roles, empowered people.
Wow, building commitment even through hardship. How can other companies maybe replicate that sense of shared purpose?
Good question. The author wraps up their story with a quote from The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh yeah, what's the gist?
It compares life to a storm, basically saying it's not the storm itself, but how you respond to it, how you shout back. Maybe that truly defines you.
That's a really fitting end, isn't it? Ties both Sarah's story and these war stories together beautifully.
It does. Both faced huge storms, external and internal. And their willingness to actively respond, not just endure, shaped everything.
So looking across both these journeys, that theme of resilience just jumps out, doesn't it?
Undeniably, the ability to bounce back from massive setbacks. It's core.
But it's more than just bouncing back, right?
Uh-huh.
It's also about self-reflection.
Yeah, that's clear too. Sarah turning to meditation, the Startup War Stories author, having those moments of deep thinking during crises. That internal work was crucial for finding new paths.
Looking inward when the outside world is chaotic.
Exactly. And it's striking how often the lowest points became these catalysts.
Catalyst for positive change.
Seems like it. For Sarah, it led eventually to Nanolit and a stronger sense of self. For the other author, a better business model, better investors. They literally call the hard times biggest blessings in disguise.
That ability to reframe adversity,
Mm-hmm.
see it not just as pain, but as potential,
Yeah,
that's a powerful mindset.
it really is. Suggests that even the worst experiences can hold seeds for growth, forcing you to adapt, reevaluate, get stronger.
And adaptability itself is key, the willingness to pivot. PeoplePerHour.com wouldn't exist without that pivot away from the first business.
Absolutely critical. You can't be too rigid in your initial plan.
And finally, there's the human element that comes through so strongly.
Yeah. The kindness Sarah received from friends after Sandy.
And the loyalty of the People Per Hour team after the downsizing, that sense of shared ownership.
It just underscores how important relationships and community are, especially when you're navigating really difficult times.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, Sarah Morgan, the Startup War Stories author. Their experiences show that financial ruin, disasters, internal crises, they weren't just dead ends.
No, they became these powerful catalysts for growth, for innovation. Their stories really drive home the importance of resilience, self-awareness.
And that incredible human ability to find opportunity even when things seem bleakest.
It leaves you with a question, really. Think about a major setback you faced,
What did you genuinely learn from it about yourself, about your ability to adapt?
and how might looking at it now maybe is valuable learning or even a hidden opportunity change how you see it today.
What storm might you be navigating right now, and what strength will you find to weather it?